Motor neurone disease is a neurological disease. It's as yet there's no cure for it, and it's inevitably fatal. I was diagnosed towards the end of 1996, given 3 to 5 years to live. I've got a bit of movement in one finger. I can move my knees a wee bit. I can move my head, obviously. Clearly can move my mouth. But apart from that, I'm totally paralysed. In classic MND, if you don't die of a heart attack or pneumonia or whatever before that, you end up in a completely paralysed body, except you can blink your eyes. And the cruelty, or the particular cruelty of it, apart from that, is your mind remains absolutely clear, your brain absolutely clear, so you're actually sort of living inside a paralysed body, which frightens the bejesus out of me. Let me put in a nutshell why the National Disability Insurance Scheme is fantastic. Up until now, people who have had accidents or suffered injury or paralysis or whatever, due to the fault of others or organisations, have quite rightly and absolutely properly been able to sue for compensation to get financial resources to help them with the rest of their life. That's great. However, people who have acquired perhaps even a similar condition or affective condition of paralysis or whatever, caused by from birth or a terrible disease like motor neurone disease that they've acquired later in their life, have had no opportunity to get access to resources. The beauty, the magic of the National Disability Insurance Scheme is that that distinction evaporates. This is a movement that's grassroots. It's come not just from the Productivity Commission and so on, it's come from marvellous advocacy work by people representing people with disabilities and people with disabilities themselves right across Australia. We have to ensure that, yes, it all counts. That it doesn't just trickle off into the yesterday. The statistics say that there are about 750,000 Australians with a disability. However, for every one of those people with a disability, there are family members, wives, children, husbands, all sorts of relatives and friends and partners who are affected by that disability in varying degrees of intensity. So this reform is very wide-ranging in its impact, and in some ways you might say it'll help shine the light on things that perhaps haven't been exposed very much to public discourse and public awareness. I'll say this, in 2 days' time my wife and I celebrate our 22nd wedding anniversary. We got married on her birthday. And of course when we were married there's absolutely no hint of anything like this smashing us. The hardest part is that loss of personal. I mean, I can't put my arms around my wife, I can't reach out and touch her. That's the hardest part. It's the personal, I can handle this. It's the personal and psychological effect of seeing what it does to your wife and your kids. And knowing that there's no light at the end of the tunnel. That's the hardest bit. I call it a mongrel disease. I couldn't have survived as long as I have except without the support of my family. And you do encounter good people like Maria, my personal assistant, my personal carers. Now, without the support of the personal carers from home care and other agencies that they subcontract, and the support of my personal assistant, who is a member of the department, I couldn't do what I do. One of the really important effects of this scheme, when it comes into operation, will be that it'll get more people with disability out in the community, and it'll be a great benefit to both, to people with disabilities and to the wider community of people who who don't have disabilities. I'm supporting this campaign wholeheartedly, enthusiastically. And I'd love to see it come in my lifetime. Now, I'm realistic enough to know that the nature of this rotten disease that I've got means that, on the chances of probability, it is quite possible that I won't live to see that. But I'm fighting or campaigning as much for all those who are now with disability and their families, and in the future, who'll be there after people like myself have gone. So I got a lot of optimism that generosity of spirit when Aussies are confronted with a crisis or confronted with people in real need that they may not have been very aware of before, I'm very confident that they'll come behind this and support it and be counted in.